Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about mental health misconceptions. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a topic that we are all thinking about. And thankfully, I have Leah here who's going to help us think about this in another way. So, that being said, thank you so much, Leah, for coming on to my show and thinking about this with me. So, what does mental health misconceptions mean to you? What does that make you think about?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. I love talking about mental health and the stigma behind it. So, yeah, misconceptions in mental health. A lot of people, there's a lot of stigma around it regarding what it actually means to have a mental illness. We think of we're in the Halloween season. We think of the scary movies, like Psychopath and the people that are, really kind of out there. And then that's what mental illness is. But, anybody could have a mental illness. It could be your teacher, your neighbor, your doctor, it's just how you manage it. And, the symptoms are different for everybody.
Absolutely. I think that's a valid point because people don't realize that more people actually have more mental health disabilities than people who have actual physical disabilities. But the fact that you can see a physical disability, you provide compassion, empathy, all of the great characteristics to actually consider somebody else's feelings or position in that, you know what I mean, the person in front of you. But when it comes to mental health, there's always so many excuses why somebody may be acting a certain way that makes somebody no longer give them reason for that action. And because, like you said, social media and
Yeah.
just movies, you know what I mean? History, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? History doesn't help either. Because if you do your history and your research, you know that they also flip the health system into being an alternate
Just,
basically prison system that
yeah.
likes to just do experiments, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy to think about how now we are pushing for this new idea of how mental health can really help you. You know what I mean? How mental health can really save you. And a lot of what you're feeling is very common. I think those are the few things that people really don't understand when it comes to mental health. What are some misconceptions that you've heard on your end?
In regards to people that feel like they have it.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people too, like they don't come for treatment because they fear of what other people are going to think and feel
Yeah.
about them, right? They don't want to tell people that they're going to therapy, they're going to a psychiatrist, because they fear that stigma. They also fear, okay, what are they going to do to my brain? That type of thing, and really for therapy, it's just talking, right? And so that's a big fear for a lot of people. And then just some of the symptoms, when people get anxious and they're in the social situation, sometimes a way that they might how they might feel like shakiness, upset stomach, feeling nauseous, avoiding certain people, not making eye contact, not speaking, staying in a corner instead of mingling, that type
Mm.
of thing. People are judged because of like, well, why aren't they are over there? They're just over there by themselves. They're not talking. Why are they even here? That type of thing. But, they might just need a buddy to just kind of help them out to, yeah, get them talking, get them mingling, or someone to stay by their side. And when we think about like how we support people with mental illness too, um, when we think about if someone had cancer or they had a surgery or something, we set up meal trains, right? People come and they bring you a meal or they ask, how can I help? Can I do some dishes, mow your lawn, whatever? Someone takes a mental health day or they're in a mental health crisis, they spent a week in the mental health unit of a hospital. What happens? People stay away, right? They
Yeah.
don't know what to say, they don't know what to do, or if their mental illness is causing them to cycle in some way and becoming impulsive and making impulsive decisions or being irritable, things like that. people tend to like their support systems, their parents, their spouses, their friends. Well, what the heck is wrong with you? Just change it.
Yeah.
Just change the way you are. Stop being that way. But that's like telling someone with asthma that's having an asthma attack, just start breathing. Can you
Yeah.
just take a breath? Just breathe now,
Yeah.
right?
It doesn't work like that. It's not as easy as what people think. Like what goes on in someone's mind is so different compared to another person. We are literally living individual lives,
Mhm.
but together collectively. Yet we forget that. You know what I mean? In our minds, in our we're doing things for a different goal, for a different motive, for a different drive. You know what I mean? We feel differently, we hurt differently, we sense things differently. However, we're all here together. You know what I mean? And when we remind ourselves that, it's like, okay, it's what we tell ourselves inside, you know. And I think one thing that I'm trying to project out to my loved ones and the people that I care about in my community is just like if you're looking for someone safe to talk to, then start projecting it out. And
Yeah,
like somebody rebutted back was like, well, why would I do that? I don't announce myself when I'm going into a room. And I'm like, technically you don't, but you do. You
yeah,
do knock and you ask to come in. You know what I mean? There's always closed doors, you know. So you got to remember people all have a closed door. And if you want somebody to be open to receive what you have, sometimes you have to knock. You know what I
yep,
mean? And the same way with when you're trying to find somebody safe, you kind of have to knock. You kind of have to announce it like, hey, I'm gonna vent. Is it okay if you just listen?
yep,
I think that's the best step into finding somebody safe, like you said, when just being there, just knowing that you're next to me. You don't even have to talk to me. Just because I know that you're there next to me, I will feel better to do whatever I need to do in this area, in this scenario, or in this moment. And I think people don't think about that. I mean, what is your opinions on that?
well, no, and I agree, especially with like when you talk about I just need someone next to me because a lot of people don't know how to support somebody that that has a mental illness. They don't know what to do. But, sometimes it's just like I don't need you to fix me. Maybe I just need to vent. I need you to hear me, but I don't need you to give me any type of way to fix what I'm doing. I don't need you to give an opinion. I just need to vent about something that's frustrating me or how I feel. Or I know I don't feel right and I don't know what I need, but I feel like I need someone here. So can you come and watch a movie with me? Or
Yeah.
can you come and chill, read your book while I do housework because I just need someone here, and
Hmm.
I don't think our, supports people who support people with mental illness, I don't think they realize like they don't necessarily always need someone to fix it. They just need you to be there and maybe just listen or just be a
Yeah.
body in the room so they don't feel alone.
Exactly. It's just knowing that you're not going through life alone. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just having that peace of mind because if you watch movies that are like towards the end of world, apocalypse and things like that, what do you find? Unity. You know what I mean? Unity keeps people going. You know what I mean? They don't no longer care about what separates them. They just know that you're human, I'm human, and let's ride this out together, you know? And we forget that. I mean, like, why do we have to have an apocalyptic situation to remind each other that we're human? You know what I mean? Like, we're all human and we can all bring it together if we pause for a moment and remind ourselves that I may be going through something, but so is that other person. Like we get so caught up in that self-centered mindset. Do you think that is also an issue in today's society?
I think we don't see each other really. Like we're right next to each other, but we don't see like when we talk about, our friends that might be feeling different and to reach out to their supports to say, hey, I need help type of a thing. But if our supports also really know us, they should know that we're not acting the same or we're anxious or feeling low or whatever. So different types of behaviors might show the people who love us that we're feeling off or whatever.
Yeah.
And that should make us ask like how is things going? How are you feeling right now? You seem different. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a good question for anybody that if they know that they're loved one has a mental illness, knowing those cues of like, okay, this is different. They're being more impulsive or whatever. Just asking, are you okay? Do you need anything? And anybody in general, we can just see, okay, something's off. I'll just ask that. And if nothing's wrong or if they don't want to tell me, at least I reached out and I was kind, basically, just a decent human being. But I think we
Yeah.
don't see that. We don't want to ruffle feathers. We don't want to
Be a
step
burden
on.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Those are like valid points, and I think that's something that I think people really need to think about when it comes to their mental health. Like, if you don't feel comfortable in your environment to speak up or to speak your voice, or you don't feel like you have someone safe, because sometimes, unfortunately, it's just too toxic on many levels that you just don't find you can't find that safety net, then that's when I think therapy is the best way because it gives you a safe way to speak with somebody that you know that has no connections to anyone an
Yeah.
outsider. Oh my goodness, having an outsider looking in not only can tell you all the missing pieces that you don't see, can tell you all the validations that you do see as well. And that is something that people need. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? People need that communication. I mean, what are your thoughts on therapy then?
Yeah.
'Cause
So
I know you talked about it a little bit, but please, if you don't mind going more about it.
Yeah, so that's what I do for a living. I'm a therapist, and I have so many people that come to me um, because they just want to vent. To be honest,
Yeah.
like that, it's been a stressful week, and they need to vent, and they don't want to vent to friends and family because they want friends and family time to be fun, lighthearted. They don't want to always vent about things or talk about how the relationship with their boyfriend isn't going so well, things like that. So they come to me to vent, get that third party perspective. That friends and family might lean more towards their perspective than the other person, and I don't know either one, so I can just be like, okay, this is the way I see it. Therapy can also give you extra coping skills that maybe friends and family might not know
Yeah,
about.
very true.
And I mean, therapy, you're paid to listen, so you have that person there to just listen, where when there's another relationship, a friendship or whatever, and you're going to them and talking, you can't monopolize the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's a great point because having that additional coping skills and coping mechanism really does help because sometimes people don't know how to handle it. And like you said, people's first instincts to tell somebody with something with a mental illness or stress is just like, okay, just deal with it, walk it
Mhm.
off, brush it off, pick up yourself up because it's only gonna get harder. Keep on going. You're not dead, so be grateful. You know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
corny
Yeah.
motivational speeches that get you going, but also tear you down at the same time. That does nothing to you when you don't need that. You know what I mean? That's the wrong fuel for my soul. Like, no. So yes, I think that is something that people need to think about because we are living in a world that is seeking validation in the wrong form, and all they're wanting is to just vent to somebody that's not going to hear them as complaining. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Not going to hear them as just a cry for help or a pity party, or you know what I mean? Because that's the biggest problem is that people perceive it in that manner. Oh my goodness. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the time now and I'm just like, no, the time is catching up to us. Leo, I feel like we could keep talking for hours and hours. Goodness. This is a real topic that's like an umbrella that branches off in so many directions that people don't realize. Like, goodness. So, what can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with so we can keep on thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it really is just seeing mental health as health, just like physical health, right?
Yes.
Our brain is an organ, just like our heart, right? And so just because our brain can control behaviors and the way we think and feel doesn't mean that it should be looked at in a different way than our heart. So we would take medication for our heart. We would go to get other treatments for our heart. Why don't we do it for our brain? And why don't we care for people that have an issue with their brain the same way that have an issue with their heart?
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to leave us off with to keep on thinking because goodness gracious, we don't think about it in that way. We focus so much on our physical health. Oh, I go do cardio. Oh, I gotta eat my greens. Oh, here's my kale salad. You know what I mean? I'm only eating vegan. You know what I mean? They go in these extremes of focusing so much on their health, but what does your mind and your heart really say? Is your
Mhm.
heart really healed? Because I don't think so. Is your mind really clear? I
Yeah,
don't think so. Sometimes people are so focused on feeling and feeling, feeling, and not taking a moment to step into the silence of who they are and
yeah,
just exploring what it really needs. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like when we are able to pause and listen and in tune ourselves to what's going on in our body. You know what I mean? Like if you could pay attention to your knees hurting, then you could pay attention that your heart is sad. Your
yeah,
heart is yearning for love or yearning for affection or validation that you are worthy. And if it's something like that, then validate yourself. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness, we could go on. Leah, it's a problem. And it's if you guys want to know more about Leah and what she has to offer the world, I have access to her socials so that you can keep on thinking with her. She posts great advice, great tips so that we can keep on thinking and focus on our mental health. So why not follow her and just think along, right? So with that being said, bye.